Hey everybody, hope you're staying healthy and having fun in these crazy times. I got a Technics turntable here, belt drive. It's definitely not a high-end unit by any stretch of the imagination. Back then, when this came out in the 80s or 90s, but today, by today's standards, this thing is definitely high end. I mean, it's got speed control. You can change out the cartridge. It has a proper, tracking force adjustment. It's got anti-skate that works. You can find parts for it all over the place. So I just wanted to replace the belt, replace the center spindle that always cracks, and service the center spindle, and basically get this up and running, and just walk you along the process. It's very simple. All this stuff is really inexpensive, and so if you come across a unit like this, they go for like $100-$200. They're rock solid. They work great. Like I said, it's a lower end Technics model, but by today's standards, this thing is definitely like mid-range to upper mid-range. And all the screws, we'll just get right into it. All the screws on the bottom housing that hold it in, there's none on the legs. They just come out. They're flathead. I'm sorry, they're Phillips head. And this whole piece like this comes right out. So I'll put that aside. And yeah. So here's the mechanism. It's quite simple, actually. I mean, you have your speed control here, your motor, and your transformer. There's where power comes in and out of. RCA cables come right from the tone arm, and then here's your stop. It still operates on a gear like even their higher end models do. So yeah, I mean, it's a decent piece of machine here. So one thing I like to start off by doing is get a box. This is just probably like an Amazon box or something. And I cut a hole right in the middle. So when you put your turntable down and the spindle is there, which I took mine off, but I'll show you. You can put the spindle right here and you're totally clear. Like your tone arm is fine, and your center spindle's going through the box, so decent way of doing that. So first thing that I'm going to talk about is lubricating the turntable for just years of use, and to make this thing last a lot longer and have less problems down the line. It's always good to just lubricate the turntable, and all you need for this is rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol. And I always used like 98%, 90%, 91%, whatever, but 70% also works great. It actually works awesome. I've found a bunch of this stuff very cheap. And then cotton swabs or Q-tips, whatever you prefer. I use these cheap ones because they do the same thing. Not for your ears, but for this, there definitely is no difference really. So you'll see, like right when you take the turntable, the bottom off, you'll see there's like grease everywhere, right? There's grease here, 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 even on this the stopping mechanism right here at the bottom. There's not much. Sorry, my camera's like on a tripod over here. Okay, so all these spots, what I just did was I fill the alcohol bottle cap up. Like I take the bottle cap off and I fill it up, and then I just use a Q-tip and I just clean out the old grease, right? The Q-tip turns black, flip it around, get more alcohol, clean it up, and then I throw this Q-tip away in the trash, and I grab this stuff, which is, I think it was like $4 on Amazon. It's just your typical CRC white lithium grease, and I just put it in the cap, right? I just spray it in there. I do this in another room because it sprays all over the place, but you spray it, and you'll get a little lubricant. And then you just re-lubricate the spots that you cleaned up. So there's lube everywhere, right? There's like on this, every part that moves, right? And you'll notice like every little nook and cranny, they use like this black lubricant. You just take it off with isopropyl alcohol, you reapply it with the Q-tip with new fresh. Like don't go in here with this and spray, you'll get lubricant everywhere. So just spray it in the bottle cap, put it on with the Q-tip, and that's good. You'll see even in here where the center spindle, the main mechanism goes through this whole gear here. I lube the hell out of this piece because, I mean, first of all, you can't really over lubricate this middle part, and as long as you're cognizant and you use some common sense, it's gonna just be great and operate super smoothly. So that's usually really simple to do. Like, this turntable is no exception. There was no part that was hard to get at. But one thing that I did want to quickly talk about was the center spindle here, and how this piece, you'll find, always breaks on these things. And you'll find this center cog on high-end Technics turntables. On really high-end, I got a Pioneer over there that's super high-end. It has the same, operates on the same principle, where there's a center cog that basically just operates the auto return, and that's how you fix it with this. So you can see that this piece broke right here, see? So what I first did is I grabbed some super glue or Gorilla Glue, right, and I glued the hell out of this piece. And then I grabbed a vice grip, a pair of vice grips, which is over here. I have like the smallest workbench, but I still managed to have shit everywhere. All right, and then I just, once I glued it, I put it in front of a fan, and then I just close this up and let it dry, right? And I just waited until this was extremely dry and solidified, and I put it right back in, and it snapped again. So if you try it, it probably won't work, but it's worth a shot to just try to glue it. If not, you're gonna have to be like me, go on freaking eBay, give the guy 20 bucks, and he'll send you a nice brand new cog here. It's I tried other things. I tried even talking to the seller to be like, dude, come on, we all know you're 3D printing these for like a dime, and you're selling them for whatever, I thought it was a good investment. 20 bucks, I guess. Long term, it'll last a long time. But I was kind of pissed to make this purchase. But basically, you get the cog, right? Well, obviously, you take the old one off. You put the new one on. You put it in exactly like you see me. I used two thumbs like this. I put just say this was the ground. I put this, and I just squeezed it down, and then sometimes you push it too hard and it falls off, and then you just try it again. You want to get it basically to where I have it. There's a knurled part of the axle right here. And yeah, so there's this tiny little screw right there. Look how small that is. And you take it out right there. So once you take out that screw, this screw out of here, you're left with this. And reinstalling it is quite simple. But you might notice that a trend here, this is going to be all gunked up with old oil. Old lubricant. And so take the best you can with this shaft, right? And do the same thing. Grab your isopropyl alcohol with a Q-tip and clean the heck out of that thing. Clean them until the last Q-tip you use looks exactly like this one. A clean thing, so you got every little bit of oil in there. So go in that spindle and go all in all different directions. Get the top, get the middle, get the bottom of the shaft, get everywhere. And you're not going to use white lithium grease. Whoops. You're not going to use white lithium grease for that. It's just a different type of oil. I choose to use a lubricating oil such as Hops No. 9. This is basically sewing machine oil. It's super thin. It's really easy to work with, and it cleans up real easy too. So, and this stuff lasts a very long time. Like people use gun oil. There's a bunch of oils you can use. So, just go on like any forum. You'll see what guys are using. This stuff works too. So, yeah, this is just, like I said, this is kind of like general maintenance. After, 50 years or something of this turntable just sitting around, this gunk is, gonna really clog the way the turntable operates. Once you remove the center spindle, you gotta put it back. And as I've shown in previous videos, what you wanna do is, when you're ready to reinstall, so we'll get ready to actually reinstall this. It's a little tricky, because you have to flip everything around. But anyway, this center cog, when you put it in, it just has to be able to hit this metal piece here. And this cog actually comes with instructions, but all you want it to do is, you see that little movement? See how it's passing the gear along? That's all you need it to do. So, and you can test it out. So you can have a tone arm here, and then when you push the, when you rotate this center spindle, see the tone arm's going back. And that's how you know you're good. Of course, it's flying this way because of gravity. But all right, so once you get the cog realigned, I wouldn't throw this away. I would keep it, you know, for prosperity or future projects or something like that. And we'll take this spindle and my number 9 oil, which is right here. And I like to place usually 2 drops. So the way that this goes is you just form a little bit on the tip of the applicator, and then I just do like 3 drops, and I'll do 1 in the center or 2, doesn't matter. Can't really over lubricate this either. And then once you place it in, you might have to insert it like this up and down a bunch of times, because you want to get that oil like saturated and all throughout the spindle. You don't want it, you know, all at the top or something. So just work it through. Yeah, so once you pass the gear, the spindle moves freely. Like I can move it back and forth without it touching the gear because the tone arm, because it thinks the record's playing. If you move the tone arm in the center, then the gear will, you know, go into play like you're doing the auto return. So work the spindle in there and you're good. But you want to now secure it with that screw. This is where the box with the hole comes into play, because you can safely put this down. And I'll reinstall this tiny baby screw. I would go to Harbor Freight, get one of these guys. They're like $1, $3, really handy. So sometimes, this, as you saw, you know, that center spindle has to be in a certain way because there's like a little indent on the on the spindle. So I'm just gonna try this a few times because there's only one way this screw can go in. So it can take 2 hands, a couple tries. All right, looks like I got it. It should go in, and then you shouldn't be able to pull the center spindle out. That's how you know you're good. And that thing spins freely. Put it back on the box. In the hole. All right. How many sexual innuendos are in this video? Everything looks good. Everything is lubricated. We got rid of the old grease. I don't really like to lubricate springs, but there's no like obvious signs of anything dirty. Sometimes I'll take just a brush and brush everything out if there's like cobwebs and stuff, which there oftentimes are. And yeah, everything looks good. You can sometimes, if these switches don't work for the speed adjustment, you can spray some deoxit in here on the pots, or right here. But the speed adjustment luckily was working good for me. Stop works. I lubricated the stop mechanism. Make sure you do that as well. It's really easy to do it because there's grease already there, and you don't really have to look up where to lubricate because the spots are already there. They're already lubricated. Just clean up the old stuff and replace it. It gets a little confusing when you're looking under here, but you can always like tilt the turntable and look in like weird angles, and you'll always see under here, like under there and stuff. See? So take your time with this. There shouldn't be any rush. I always say, like, if you're already in here, you might as well take your time. You might as well do it right. You might as well do it once. Let's put the bottom back on, and then I will install a new belt, and I'll show you about cleaning the belts as well. Yeah, only one way for this to go in, because if you tried it the other way, that hole wouldn't line up, see? You'll find a lot of, like, tech from this era is just super easy to work on. Like, this turntable probably was the easiest thing that I've ever worked on. It's just, everything is, like, wide open. You know, there's nothing extremely hard to get to. It was super easy. Like, look at this. This is all Phillips head screwdriver to open the whole unit up. You know, it's great. There's no hidden screws. There's no hidden components anywhere. Pretty good. I'm not really over tightening these screws yet. I will when they're all in, but you don't want to over tighten one side and then not be able to get the rest of the screws in. You really don't have to over tighten these screws unless you're hearing like vibrations or something. I wouldn't worry about tightening these really tight. Okay, that's all good. Put the box aside. You can also use like a book right? Like for other things, I have this dictionary that I use. Whatever works, right? All right, and then it's been a few days because I was waiting for those parts, so it's a little dusty. Dust everything off. If there's parts that have like grease or just are gross, like always around the speed adjustment because people like finger oils or dirt gets trapped in there, just take a Q-tip, you know, take some alcohol and just clean up. You just pour it in, comes out fast. And if you have a cut on your finger and this stuff gets on there, it hurts, it burns. But like see under here, you could just clean up. Can you see that? You just clean out. You'll see it turn like a blackish brownish color. Dry it off if you want. This stuff will always air dry really fast. It's alcohol. And see, there's some crud. Clean the contacts here with alcohol. You can like push them in and out and clean in like a circular motion. You'll always get crap coming out of here, especially if like DJs use them. Always switching cartridges. And see, I cleaned this the other day and there's still black stuff coming out of there. And the last spot, like I said earlier, is under the speed selector switch, or if there's just surface damage on the turntable itself, like there's some 2 or 3 blemishes here. Cleaning the lights, you know, strobe light, the pitch adjustment knob. You'll be surprised just by going over it, you'll get like all this dust or debris or something. And it really cleans up nice when you pay attention a lot. And it takes like 20 minutes, you know. To keep in mind is you're going to be looking at the front of a turntable, right? So if the left side is really dirty, the right side is really dirty, and the front's filthy, at least clean the front first, you know? Because when you're looking at it, you're going to be looking at the front, then work on the sides. That's an old trick. Okay. Put this away. I always have to close this bottle. I swear I knock it over all the time. Last thing is reinstalling the belt. And so here's the old platter with the dust mat. So I'll put over here, or slip mat. And you can see the old belt left like this residue, this coating. See that? So I went in there first with a pair of tweezers. I just cleaned up that old belt that was on there since like freaking whenever, right? And then I just peeled it back. It takes, it's a tedious task, but it gets done. And once you do that, you guessed it, another Q-tip, more alcohol, and go through the whole everything and just clean up that dirt. You'll go through this thing 5 or 6 times when it looks clean, and you'll still be getting dark matter on the Q-tip. So that's something to keep in mind. And then this motor assembly, you can always get more crap off of here. A little trick is to just plug in the turntable, turn it on, and as it's spinning with alcohol on the Q-tip, just press gently, right? And you'll get a lot of the Q-tip, a lot of the belt residue on the Q-tip. But sometimes the cotton of the Q-tip can get trapped in the motor, so proceed with caution. And on eBay, Global Electronic Solutions. They're in Woodside, New York. They sell belts really cheap. So I got a belt for this turntable, and I'll install it here. I don't like to get these dirty, but so I can show you. Alright. So make sure it's all one side, right? Just install it on the turntable. Platter here, you're gonna have to stretch it. And I just at least make sure it's like kind of level, right? Like, see how this side's like all low and then that side's all high. Just run a fingernail across. Make sure it's all just relatively level. And I also will clean this center spindle out with some alcohol, and also the center spindle assembly here with some alcohol too if there's crap. And then once you install, you can grab the belt, wrap it around like so. There's a bunch of more detailed videos on how to change belts, but I was kind of trying to go over everything else. Get my slip mat. And advice for cleaning this thing, honestly, soap and water in the sink. It's the best. So first I get this, right? Get all the major dust particles off, and anything else I'll just bring this in the sink and clean it like normal, like a dish or something. But you can clean it with alcohol, but sometimes it can leave stains and leave residue. You might also just just not even clean it. Just leave it alone. If they're extremely filthy, just buy a new one. Buy like an acrylic platter. They look better. Or the old school trick, turn it upside down. So, yeah, you can find these things all over the place. If they're extremely filthy, it might not be worth your time. Like, try it in the sink with soapy water. Use like Dawn. Just scrub the hell out of it. Let it air dry. And like, don't dry it with a paper towel. You'll just get a bunch of more crap on here. Let it air dry. If it doesn't work and you try alcohol as well, just a little bit, just move on. It's not worth it. They're usually like turntable slip mats are not worth it unless they're like the special ones with the holes in them, the cutouts, you know, for like the automatic turntables. Now we have to see if the damn thing works. So I'll plug in power. Half the time it's going to be spinning, so we got to get it back cycled. The motor's off, so we'll turn that to 33, and we'll see. Okay, it's engaging the auto return because we were messing with the gears and everything. Hopefully it turns off. All right, cool. So I'll put a cartridge on there just so it'll weigh it down, and you usually want a protector on here, but it's all good. And there's 1,000,001 videos everyone knows on how to align the cartridge and do that. Take your time with that stuff because, you know, a little slip up will really cost you. All right, so we'll see if the auto return works. I hear it. All right, cool. So, yeah, the anti-skid, all that being off is gonna make this not look that great, but I know it works because I basically repaired this and then took it apart and then put it back together so I could show this video. A few little points of adjustment. So obviously speed adjustment, you just want to align it with the strobe. I have an incandescent light bulb to the left right there, and that helps me with the speed, so I can do that now. Work on that. So if it's going to the right, move the speed adjuster to the left. You're looking at the bottom line, the bottom indicator line. And as long as it's sitting still, it's fine. You can make the tiny little adjustment will actually make a difference. Will that pick up on camera? I don't know. I don't know if that's picking up on camera, but it's straight. Okay. You can adjust to the 45 as well. What else? Oh, right. If you have to take the needle, the stylus, the cartridge, whatever the hell you want to call it, too far into the record, like it's eating away at the label before the auto return kicks in, there's a little tab under here. Right there, there's a little screw adjustment. You use a flathead of decent size, like something like this, right? Something a little thick. You go in there, you turn it just a little bit, see if that fixes your problem. If not, go the other way. Just look up the manual if you want to know specific which direction is which. And yeah, that's an easy adjustment to make. So other than that, this turntable works flawlessly. The tone arm raising and lowering, if it's too high, can actually, there's a little screw right here at the top, right there. So you can raise that up a little bit. I think right, okay, so left raises it and right lowers it. And yeah, you're good. Also, I forgot to show how smooth it spins with the belt off. That's because we cleaned the center spindle and then lubricated it. So, yeah, see it spin. Stops real smooth. Cool. You can only really do this with the belt off, but it just goes to show how, clean the center spindle is. And that'll definitely help with speed consistency. And it'll also break really fast, too, if you have a nice new belt on there. So, cool. If you guys have any questions about this turntable or any specifics on how to clean something in here, I mean, really what we saw is just a lot of isopropyl alcohol, a lot of general white lithium grease, some hops oil, right, that center spindle that we had to buy for freaking $17 or whatever dollars, the belt, which was only like $8, some Q-tips, and yeah, a little general maintenance goes a long way. This thing, I guarantee you, will be kicking for a long time. I mean, even if the transformer goes bad, you can find one on eBay. There's parts of this, forever, basically. And these could still go for like $100, $200. Because it's just it's a direct reading from the cartridge, right to the RCA cables. There's no crap going on. There's no built-in preamp. The mechanism works. It does what it's got to do. It auto returns. It doesn't have any fancy bells or whistles or whatever. Anti-skate is totally adjustable. It works. You get 45 and 33 speeds real fast. You can instantly check if your speed's dead on. These are solid turntables. Soon I'll make a video. I hope to make a video on the dust covers, because this one has a crack. But you can buy aftermarket pieces that are like this, so that instead of it being plastic, you basically get this off with a Dremel or something. I have to figure out the best way, and then I'll share. And then you basically replace that with a metal piece, just like that, and screw it in. And that's going to definitely be a lot better than the plastic cog. So I'll make a video on that. Also maybe a video on polishing the dust cover. It's super simple. Anyway, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to leave them down below. I know this was a long-ass video, but I've been wanting to make this for a long time. Just how to restore a B2, but also how to restore turntables in general. So if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. And yeah, thank you again for watching. Have a good day.
But if you have a